Fusion Tech. Today we're going to be talking about some new products. The products we're going to be talking about today are the Sony Xperia Z5 and the Z5 Premium. Now, the Z5 is the standard model and the Z5 Premium is their higher end model. This is one of the first times that we've ever seen a company do something like this. So let's get into the video. First, we're going to talk about the normal Xperia Z5. Now, the normal Z5 has a 5.2-inch screen and it's 1080p. A nice screen size and very, very nice resolution with some good pixels per inch. Now, this phone also has a 23 megapixel camera, which is very, very good. This is better than the S5, the iPhone, the G4. This is one of the best cameras on a phone. This can also record in 4K, which is very nice. Now, this phone has a Snapdragon 810 with 3 gigabytes of RAM, which is very good specs. Now, the Snapdragon 810 has had many issues with overheating and thermal throttling because it gets too hot. Let's hope that Sony can figure it out. They have a cool solution on the Z5 Premium, but this is it's a very nice chip. The only problem is that it overheats and therefore can be slower than older chipsets. So we'll just have to see what Sony implements here to make it better. Now, this phone also has a battery of about 3,000 milliamp hours, 2,900, which is pretty good, and it should last you through an entire day. At least, they put a really nice battery in there. Plus, the screen is only 1080p, it's only 5.2 inches, and it's going to be able to run that for probably 2 days. So I'm very, very glad to see that Sony's actually not tried to be the smallest, thinnest phone ever, because battery life is a real big, important factor when getting a phone. So it's nice that they put a nice big battery in here, but it still has great specs. Now let's move over to the Z5 Premium. This is Sony's top of the line. We threw all the stops out, everything. Now, the Z5 Premium has a really cool feature that we'll get to in a moment. Now, this phone has a 5.5-inch screen, which is a little bigger than I personally prefer, but a lot of you out there love it for media consumption or even apps and such. Now, the real kicker here is that this screen is full 4K. That is insane. So you can watch all your 4K movies. You can watch what you've recorded on the phone. Previously, we've only seen 2K displays, but this is full 4K. Now, I have some really big issues with this, because yes, 4K is awesome, but it's going to suck up your battery life. It's going to overheat the phone because it takes more power to run a screen like that. And yes, the screen will look really, really beautiful, but it's going to take a huge hit on performance. Now, how did Sony figure out the heat issue? This processor will be running at full throttle most of the time because of that 4K display. Since it's going to be running full time, it's going to be producing a lot of heat. How are they going to manage that? With heat pipes. Yes, the same technology that is in your freaking gaming laptop, they stuck into a phone. Now, the Snapdragon 810 has had serious overheating issues where then it thermal throttles and ends up being really slow. But with the implementation of heat pipes, it can direct the heat away from the processor and away from anything that can overheat. Now, it'll be interesting to see how Sony makes that work, because it doesn't have any fans, because it would be way too difficult to get a fan into a phone. But let's just see how Sony makes it work, and hopefully it improves the Snapdragon 810. And if this idea works, more companies could start putting in heat pipes into their phones. We could get better performance, because right now, phones are kind of at a standstill. If you have the Snapdragon 800, it's not that much slower than an 808 or even an 810. So it'll be nice to have quicker processors and maybe even someday make your phone like a complete desktop. Now, this one has a bigger battery because it has that huge display and that very power-hungry processor. It's about a 3,500 milliamp hour battery, which will be quite good. This phone will probably only last a day, though, because the last one, even though it had less of a battery, it had only a 1080p display. This screen, since it's 4K, is 4 times a 1080p display, so it's going to take about 4 times the power. So it'll be interesting to see if this will last an entire day. And I mean, both of these phones are very interesting, but the premium is really where it's at. So that's about it. I think that the Z5 and the Z5 Premium are going to be awesome smartphones, especially since the Z4 didn't really launch in the US. It was the Z3 Plus, and it wasn't as good as the Z4. Big shenanigans, but the Z5 and Z5 Premium look very nice. Especially the Z5 Premium with all the new technology that's going on in there, with the first 4K display on a phone, and those heat pipes. Be interesting to see those. But this is a very nice phone, very nice specs, one of the best spec phones that we've seen out there, and if they can figure out the overheating issues with the Snapdragon 810, that would be absolutely awesome, especially with its great camera. Thank you for watching this episode of Fusion Tech. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and maybe even subscribe if you want to see more in the future. Again, thank you for watching. I'll see you next week, or actually, on Wednesday. Goodbye.